Have you ever heard something so beautiful it makes you want to kill yourself from euphoria? That's what happened to me when I listened to Olsen Olsen by Sigur Ros off the 1999 album Agaetis Byrjun. When I heard this album for the first time, I didn't understand and actually fell asleep to it. But I think I'll save those stories for another time. Today, I would like to bring you one of, if not the greatest post-rock record of all time, Agaetis Byrjun. Sigur Ros, for those who are unaware, is a group from Iceland forming in the 90s and still producing albums to this day. Their latest is from 2023. The one in discussion today, Agaetis Byrjun, came as their sophomore album, mixing classical elements like horns, winds, and strings with the cold and spacious landscape of reverberated guitars and slow, funeral-sounding tempo. The whole place feels like you are floating in space, being teleported up to aliens to receive the answer of universal peace. But how about we begin with an introduction? My name is Vinny Willowtree, and here is Vinyl-Worthy Records. But what exactly is a vinyl-worthy record? I feel like I should explain, because it's not so simple. So, the records in my super cool and awesome collection are all albums that I genuinely love and appreciate, so much so that I have bought them in order to support the band. There's plenty of these I could talk about for hours on end. These albums have been near and dear to my heart since I first heard them, and this is the main reason why I want to talk about them. However, I only have this on CD and one other Sigur Ros album, Talk, rather than vinyl, but I still own them. But let's get started. The intro is a reverse sample of the band, often left off the album's track list. It works as an extended introduction to the true first song, Seventy Inglar, meaning Sleepwalker. From the very first song, you can already see what kind of world that Sigur Ros is bringing to us. In a similar way that other well-acclaimed bands have been known to do, they play with the idea of childhood and specifically the beauty of birth in this song. The song is about a child being born into the world, feeling its nurturing and warmth of a mother's womb, and being brought into the brightness and reality's yelling and screaming, before being lulled back into sleep with a mother's warmth still familiar in this harsh new world. These distorted, reverberated guitars just fill you with their surprisingly warm sound and surround you with the enveloping of a freshly dried blanket. Where these slow drums beating away feeling like a nervous heartbeat of both a mother and child, they paint such unique imagery, referring to a baby as a sleepwalker because they perform functions while not being completely conscious yet. The music video from this features special needs adults, and it is such a damn good video. If you take anything from this, go watch the video and listen to this song. Stralaflö, or Staring Elf, is the waking to a dream as a kid after struggling to fall asleep. We've all been there. Restless and staring out the window, staring until your eyes get heavy, and this elf that appears after you finally fall asleep is here to take you away from this drab and boring life you lived to run around in an enchanted forest. Paired with this are these wonderful and poignant string arrangements, with each break of them being paired with percussion that sounds like fireworks, or to fit with the theme of the lyrics, the walls of your bedroom falling down to reveal a forest. In either sense, there is an amazing foundation of trumpets and strings beating away at notes as the lead singer Jonsi whips around in the narrative painted. Known as the Fly Savior, Flugefrelsaren is a poem about the little things in life and how everything in fact is sacred, from the biggest beings to the little flies around them. The story goes that a person is trying to save the flies that have fallen out of the capsized boat, and they are looked at weird for their ways. However, the person is adamant about it. The beginning of this track starts off with these wide and haunting feedback guitars, and the only building onto them as the track progresses. There's not many beautiful sounds until the chorus when it turns into more a major key. The second half adds these wonderful keyboards that add so much texture to the whole thing. While this isn't an all-timer for me, it is a wonderful story with unique textures not really found on other releases of the time until Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven by Godspeed You Black Emperor. Starting off perfectly transitioning from the previous, New Battery starts off quiet and timid, only consisting of a strange sounds to mid to low brass instruments warming up. It warms up over the course of the track to add a very cozy bass guitar, and about halfway through the track, this painful sounding drum part comes in, dropping out and then coming back in with such powerful sound. The lyrics are much more of a critique of our current capitalistic system, New Batteries being the title in English. The narrator is being treated as though they are not real, and that they just need to power through, being fueled by money. They are beaten down by bills, the government, and the heinous state of the world that we live in, all being signified by being charged at and gagged by barbed wire. It's a very childish yet sinister metaphor that fits along with the beating and pain drums I was talking about earlier. While I don't have enough for this track, it is still one of my favorites. Bam 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 is one of the groovier and more accessible tracks on this album. It starts off with this E keyboard playing at the almost jazz part, with bass guitars and harmonica being added to it, before exploding out of nowhere with the signature guitars and feedback and reverb. The track's drums and vocals come in at roughly the same point, with Jonsi's hushed and intimate delivery of lines previous on New Battery. It's very much an outlier in the entire album, but it fits so well in between New Battery and the next track. Continuing on, I'm just going to put this title on the screen because I don't think I can pronounce this even after 10 tries. The track starts with industrial sounding feedback before fading into a hushed and beautiful piano, slipping into bass lines that blend so wonderfully. And the strings, God, the strings just make their whole sound completely elevated to the point of ascension. And even though the whole thing takes 5 minutes to get to the vocal lines, when they do come in, the sparse mix works like a dream. The actual song is about heartbreak and absence in the balance of life, compared to being lost in the middle of the ocean without a boat, swimming around and trying to find some sort of direction, which is just a beautiful metaphor for how it feels to lose someone and fall out of love. Olsen Olsen is the song entirely in gibberish, a made-up scatting language known as Hopelandic, invented by the band for songs like this before adding real lyrics over it. However, this doesn't need real words to describe what is being said. Universal peace. This song is about the world coming together and stopping for one moment, all of the destitution and chaos, just to join in for a song. This song feels like aliens coming down from Earth to show the world even just a tiny glimpse of what universal peace looks like. It starts off with Jonsi singing, before bringing 2 guitars and drums in from a distance, continuing this until a familiar line begins to peek its head in. As the whole band waits for the line to finish its course the first time around, coming back to the original section, it's the seed planted in the world's mind of form of a village musician. Then everything drops out again, only giving us the brass instruments that were supposed to back the flute, before cutting into a full violin section, topped by the line on piano in octaves. It explodes into this full band's beauty, with the violins and trumpets blasting away the line in harmony and in accentuation. Then come in the unison vocalists, cementing in your mind that this whole village of people is joined in for this song, bringing them together and closer than ever before. The amount of euphoria from just hearing those voices come in is what wells me and brings my entire body into a crying state of happiness. I didn't get this record at first, like I said in the beginning. I fell asleep in someone's apartment while listening, but a month or 2 later I decided to put it on once more at work. I was tired and looking for something soothing to end the night on, but what I instead got was myself not being able to stop crying. In fact, it was enough that customers had asked me if I was okay. But the aftermath after everything was done, we hear people chatting and talking with each other while a piccolo pans from left to right while playing the line, as if it was saying that all of it is possible if you simply just recognize how beautiful the world is. It is one of, if not the greatest piece of music I have ever heard in my entire life. The title track, however, is a much different story, a personal story. Agaetis Byrjun is about the band's reception after their debut Vaughn. It had only done a couple of 100 copies and mediocre review scores, but that didn't get them down. Instead, they were all just happy that it was finished, and that they'll do better on the next album. The track's sound is very much different than Olsen Olsen, as there is more of a traditional song to it. Acoustic guitars and keyboard play with each other as Jonsi sings as though it's a lullaby, and funnily enough, this sort of paid off for them entirely. This album is considered one of the best albums of the 2000s. They received 2 music awards for this album specifically. It was a staple of Rate Your Music's top 100 albums of all time, before sitting around the 110 spot at a whopping 4.05 out of 5 from 38,000 listeners. If anything, this album cemented them as one of the best to ever do it. Another instrumental track, This is actually an alternative take to the ending section of Stralafur, slowed down to reflect something. What it is, we don't know. My personal interpretation is that this is the mothership of some aliens leaving after gifting them the glimpse of peace in Olsen Olsen. The violins slowed down to a crawl have just such emotional power for me, especially in the highest note we reach, and it grabs you like it's crying into your arm and shoulder. I've always been a fan of bass and lower instruments taking the lead on things. An oboe makes me cry, a trombone makes me sob, and a cello sounding string will make me silently sit at my desk, just letting my desk be soaked in tears. If you couldn't tell, this album has meant something to me. It has changed my view and outlook on life. It has touched me in a way that I can only think Twin Fantasy has. It doesn't come easy, and it is going to be hard to get through the day. But there is always hope that something out there will guide you to where you want to be. Even if it's small, even significant, it is something. Hold on to your dreams. Hold on to your desires. Keep going. Times are getting scarier with each passing day, and it will feel hard to even bother with anything. But the best advice that I, or more so Sigur Ros, can give you is to let yourself be down, but not for too long, and come back to the questions in your mind when you've let yourself cry. My name is Vinny. This has been Vinyl Worthy Records. Thanks for watching.